So this is going to be a longer tape as we explain in more detail how we help implement this modern operating system in Salesforce organizations. So the steps are pretty straightforward. So there's 5 of them. We need to capture the overall corporate strategy and cascade that down to sales. From there, we need to find out what does each of the sales sub-teams or departments do to support sales. From there, we identify each area's objectives and key results. And that allows us to develop the overall OKR measurement system that ensures that everyone's working against that management principles, and then set up those daily management practices. So let's go through each step in more detail. So overall, capturing the strategic priorities and OKRs are all about taking the corporate objectives and cascading them down to the sales area. And what we do is we capture what sales needs to do to contribute to corporate objectives and their priorities. So how this would look, imagine that we're talking to a new sales manager or a new member of the board. Overall, in this particular organization, their mission statement is chosen for excellence, proven in the field. And they describe their strategy through 4 perspectives. Overall, what are our financial goals? To achieve that, what do we need to do to make our customers happy? To make our customers happy, what are internal processes? And then underpinning all of that, what are the enablers, the strategic assets, competencies, and cultures that we need? Now, in this case, they said overall, the sales department's accountable for driving growth. And to do that, there's 3 things they need to do. Focused on establishing what the brand is. And the brand has 3 components. They want to become the trusted advisor for their customers. They want to deliver huge value, like high return for invested dollar. And then finally, constantly delight the customers. And you'll see that these are the sorts of things, if I interviewed the customer, we want them to say about us in terms of their satisfaction, right? We want them to say we're their trusted advisors, we offer them huge value, we're constantly delighting them, and overall, we really love the brand. How do we do that? Well, on the sales side, we have to pursue sales excellence. To do that, there's 2 core things we need to do, or if we do that, that's going to support not only delivering huge value, but becoming the trusted advisor and constantly delighting our customers. So how do we do that? 2 core things. We need to understand our customers and our markets. And then secondly, we need to pursue that drive to digital in our practice. Then underpinning all of that are the 3 objectives of investing in our people, building our winning culture, and leveraging our partner network. Now, again, this is based on your corporate strategy. What do sales need to do? The second part is identifying what are their priorities. So if this is 100% of our strategy, we should be able to allocate the 100% across these objectives. In this case, they've set it up as follows. So what you'll see is their most important objective this year or this quarter is to be the trusted advisor. There's a 2-way tie for second, constantly delighting our customers and pursuing sales excellence. And then in third position is deliver high value and invest in our people. So this allows us to get aligned about our priorities and make sure that we're focused on the right things. In fact, to help do that, we move on to the second step, which is getting the alignment inside the department. So what we do is we get those objectives and score the impact of each process on them. It looks a bit like this. So again, we take those objectives from the strategy map and list them down the left. We take the core sub-departments inside the sales area, the core processes, and list those across the top. And then we score the impact of each process on each objective. So let's take a look at inside sales. Here you can see that and we score the impact from 1 to 5. 5 being critical, 1 or blank being not high impact. So they scored themselves a 3 impact, so sort of middle of the road on this objective. And so this cell is just 3 times 3 or 9, conditional formatting, that's light gray. You can see that here they also gave themselves a 3. But in this case, an impact of 3 on a weighting of 10% gives us 30 strategy points. That's dark gray. And then here it's also a 3, but because it's weighed at 15, that turns up to 45, which makes it black. So what ends up happening is these black spots become what we call the critical performance nodes. What inside sales has to be best at are those 3 things. And so in the OKR world, what we then do is we use those plus anywhere else that were critical to make sure that our OKRs cover them off. So if I'm looking at inside sales, I can accurately figure out what do they need to do to contribute to strategic success. Now, I can also look at it horizontally. So if I wanted to, for example, launch a project to constantly delight our customers, I would need someone from inside sales, someone from key accounts, someone from field sales, and someone from customer service as part of that team. So this begins to allow us to make sure that we're aligned both by process, but also strategically. From there, we use that guidance to be able to write up our objectives and key results. So in this case, we've got 3 core objectives: drive growth, establish our brand, invest in our salespeople, and the key results that they've identified and what the targets are for the next quarter. So now we've translated the corporate strategy down to what this team does. In fact, once we've done that, we typically do what we call show and tell. Each of those processes share it with the others, and we identify where we need critical support from other departments. So in this case, we need support from SDRs to achieve these 2 objectives, but no support, and I need support from customer service to get my net promoter score up. I don't need any support to get higher call acceptance, and I need support from HR for the training and internal promotions. So this allows us to make sure that the departments are lined up and can help us out where we need help. From there, we just put it into your system of record. So as a quick recap, this is kind of what an OKR would look like. So let's say we're doing customer support. It's going to be verb, outcome, key result, target, date. So in this case, we want to increase customer productivity. So the example we're using is a medical devices company. And if someone has a concern, they're calling up customer support because their machine's not working. They need to become productive again. And our goal is to get them that way. So the objective, increase customer productivity. In this case, the key result is how many tier 1 problems we can resolve without having to escalate it. In this case, we're going to be able to resolve 75% of them in quarter 1. And that's it, objective, key result. Now, typically, we want to be a little bit more detailed. So what's our objective for quarter 2? Same thing. Quarter 3, we're going to now be able to solve 95%. So something significant is going to happen in quarter 3. And then quarter 4, a little bit more improvement. So this is important because it begins to communicate to the rest of the organization what this department's going to be doing. Now, in this case, to make that happen, we're going to cross-train the customer support team in our 10 products. And so in quarter 2, we'll have them cross-trained. In quarter 1, we'll have them cross-trained in 2 products. By quarter 2 and 4, 6, and then all 10 by quarter 4. So we begin showing the cross-functional nature of work. Here's where I need help from HR. And then finally, they're going to need some support from IT so that they have better call routing. In other words, when they call up, they'll know what products that customer has based on the phone number and route them to an operator that's certified in those products. And so we'll be launching that in quarter 3. And it's a combination of launching that in quarter 3 and a critical amount of training that makes this miracle happen in quarter 3 of getting to 95% resolution. So an OKR is the objective, key result, and show us the connection between other departments. And that's super important in sales because we need so much support from marketing, from dev, from operations in order to achieve our numbers. So that's what the OKRs describe to us, that structure and the linkages, etc. From there, we put it into the system of record. And so what we should be able to do is see that sort of drill down of hierarchy, how we're performing, who owns it, and so forth. And build dashboards by department, by product, by sales team, etc. Be able to analyze that in the context of overall performance, and then allow some sort of dashboard for senior leadership. And that takes us to the final step. And the final step is using this dashboard to better manage the business processes. What does that look like? Well, inside the organization, the simple model is the lower down the organization you are, the more frequently you meet. So imagine having a daily or weekly stand-up with a sales team. In that meeting, you're spending about 80% of your time talking about performance and 20% of time corrective action. That goes on every week. Once a month, you have a slightly bigger meeting, longer meeting, and in that time you spend less time on performance, less time on action, to create time to understand the implications. In other words, what are the trends happening with a product, and do I need to change my sales force, my support structure, and so on. And that goes on each week. And these meetings probably already exist. We're just improving their quality by using OKRs. The new meeting is we're suggesting once a quarter, we should take a look at that strategy map, the weighting, the top level key results. And in that meeting, take into account the current performance. In that meeting, we spend less time on performance, less time on implications, more time on the strategic issues. Are these the right objectives? Is the weighting still correct? Are these the right key results? Are these the right targets? And inevitably, we make some sort of change. And so for the next quarter, we're running with that new model. And once again, we get together and find out if we need to change it again. Run with that new model in that third quarter and so forth. So now what happens is this organization basically has 4 learning cycles where previously they had 1. In fact, what happens is if we have problems in the middle of any quarter, we can have one of these meetings and get ourselves back on track by being agile and adjusting around the market realities. So this overall process allows us to capture the strategy, make sure that we're aligned to it so that each team's working on the right things, both inside sales and outside sales. From there, make sure that we have our OKR set up and understand where there's shared ownership. That allows us to build out the management tool and then finally use that to run better management meetings. So hopefully that gives you a quick overview of how it is we can enable sales success through strategy execution, and then comes the hard part of running those meetings, building those habits, coach, mentoring, protecting, and training the sales team. Thanks for your time.